Okay, guys, got another little kitchen episode here. I've got the camera woman, so we'll be able to do things a little bit better. These are deer shanks. These are actually 4 shanks, so this is the front bottom leg of a deer. And most people cut this up for hamburger meat because they just don't think it's really worth doing anything else with. I think you're actually wasting one of the best cuts of meat on the deer. You're doing a lot of work for no good reason. All of this silver sheen, all this stuff has to be trimmed off if you're going to make hamburger meat out, or that'll get on the screw of the grinder. It'll screw everything up for your screw. That's never good. But this is actually, that's my granddaughter. This is actually one of the most rich, delicious cuts of meat on a deer, and the only real ingredient you need is thyme. And I don't mean the herb, I just mean thyme. You could do what I'm going to do here, and you could just put salt and pepper on it and it'd be fine, but I'm going to do it up a little bit more. But we're going to start out with a mirepoix with some rough chopped garlic included. So this is carrot, celery, and onion. Here's a little tip making your mirepoix easy. If you buy matchstick carrots and just kind of give them a rough chop, then you don't have to sit there and dice carrots up real small. So we got carrots, onions, celery, and rough chopped garlic. The garlic's pretty big. That's not a piece of it there, but it's probably about like that big. Obviously, this is going to cook a long time. This stuff doesn't need to be small. Got some nice hot grease there we're going to go down on. That's bacon grease that we're going to use at the beginning. And we're going to saute this mirepoix. We're just going to cook this down. And once we get it nice and cooked down, we'll be back. We'll get a brown on the shanks. We'll add my special seasoning, which is right here, and I'll show you that when we get to it. I'll go ahead and give it a little bit of that to the herb because it's got salt and pepper in it, among other things. And that's just going to smell great. And we'll be back in just a bit, and we'll get it in the oven. All right, guys, so I've got the mirepoix nicely cooked down, and what I'm going to do, you could either do the meat first, or you could remove this, but with the amount we have, what I want to do is I'm just going to kind of pull it to the side, and yeah, this pan's seen better days, but it'll work fine for this. I used bacon grease at first. I'm going to go to some extra virgin olive oil at this point for the flavor contribution it'll give, and because it's mixed with the bacon grease, it'll have a higher smoke point. Of course, long term, we're going to be cooking at about 275 degrees. So we'll give a little stir and get a little flavor into our oil from our mirepoix. We're building layers of flavor is what we're doing, though we really don't have to do it because, like I said, the way this meat tastes is amazing when it's done. I'm going to use a little bit of my herb seasoning, and I'm going to go ahead and just add it there. And this is just rinsed off and patted down, and then we're going to put these flat down so they make contact with the surface of our pan. Nestle them in there 2 by 2. And we'll go ahead and season the top side. You can see what I'm going to do. I'm going to write down all the ingredients for this this spice mix and how I make it. This is pretty much my go-to mix for anything that's like a slow cooker recipe. It's got thyme, rosemary, Mexican oregano, paprika, salt, pepper, and a few other things. I'll put down the quantities and everything, but it is just a fantastic herb rub. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to get this nice and browned on both sides. And once I do that, I'll come back. We're going to get the cooking liquid going. We're going to get it in the oven, and we'll check back in with you when it's done. And it's already starting to smell good. The camera woman won't eat it, but she sure likes the smell of it. Okay, so we're back, and if we have a camera woman come in, get a look at what we've done here. So what I've done is I've just got a light brown on both sides to start to develop some flavor. And I took a sharp knife, and you can see right here where the silver sheen is, and I've just kind of scratched into it just to start letting it kind of open up. And I know you're thinking, man, this is why I grind shanks, because all this stuff is going to be so tough and sinewy. This is going to melt into like meat butter. This is going to be so rich and so amazing at the end. You're going to kick yourself for every time you ground one of those up or even threw it away. So now we're going to do a braise. So what we're going to do first is we'll deglaze the pan with some red wine. Bring that up a bit there. And that gets all those things on. That was the last of this bottle. I don't know what brand it is. It's a brand I would drink. I pretty much, if I wouldn't drink the wine, I won't cook with it. And we got that going for some flavor. And we got 2 cups of, basically this is beef stock. And I'll show you how I made it up. So you guys didn't have to sit here and wait for it to dissolve. There's a little bit in there. Let me just get some water. Get the last of that goodness out of there. What I did, I heated this up in the microwave to dissolve my better than bouillon beef base. So when I don't have time to make a bone stock or what have you, this is what I'll use for beef. I love this stuff. It's amazing. You can find it in the stores. You can find it on Amazon. I'll have links to everything on the video notes. So we've got that in there now. All we really have to do now is add a little bit more of our seasoning rub. And it is early. If you're going to make this dish, like I said, the only real ingredient you need is thyme. So I'm having my tea here in the morning. What is that? It's lemongrass, green tea, and chamomile I think I've made up today. And so we'll take our seasoning mix. And I'm not one of these pinch of this and dash of that guys. I believe if you're cooking with something, it should be good enough to use it. And again, I'll put the ingredients list, but that'll give us a great, there's some, like I said, there's some bay leaf and rosemary and other wonderful things in there. And we'll just throw the lid on it. And get our anti-burn your hand devices. Get the oven open. And we'll see you in about 5 hours. I'll probably throw some potatoes in there at some point, just maybe one cut up, because that juice is going to be amazing on potatoes. But that'll do it for now. I don't know what side dish I'm going to do tonight. Got a buddy coming over, a Army buddy coming over, and he'll be eating this tonight. So maybe we'll get his opinion of it when we serve it up. I got my buddy Roy over here, and he's going to give it a try to the Shanks. Let me show you the presentation we came up with here. I decided to do this as a surf and turf, so we've got some scallops, and we actually use the same seasoning I showed you earlier that's on the Shanks on the scallops. We've got some greens, and they're mostly water spinach and Swiss chard and a few other things. A little sweet potato greens thrown in, and you can see the way that shank came out. You know, that meat kind of just came off the bone there. So Roy, why don't you give us your honest opinion of those shanks that people think you should just grind up and turn into hamburger meat?
Well, I sure can't wait to get into it because I smelled it awesome earlier. I'm can't wait to get into it.
Let's take a look at what do you got there.
So I got a little bit of
the
main.
All sinew and it's just a silver sheen.
Oh yeah. That cooked down.
yeah. So let's try that. Let us know.
Smells awesome. There's a little piece of the edge of it.
It's getting away from you.
Excellent food. Yep. Yep. Now the outer edge of it's a little bit tough, but that's kind of like bark.
Yep.
There is no chewy to it. Sorry for talking while I'm eating, but.
So the term I use when I describe how this dish comes out is meat.
That's very tender.
Meat butter.
Yep. That's very tender. Look at there for that being cooked. It's still a good color.
Yeah.
Good texture.
Now you usually grind yours up, right? You're the school of thought. The shank is for grinding.
I have. So I've ground it up. I've made salami. I've made sausage and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Thought that there wasn't much to it, or you'd have to cook it to death in order to make it out of it. But I'll not do that anymore. So.
All right, guys. That's how you take those deer shanks. And if you have buddies who like to hunt and they don't see any value in them, all you need is a reciprocating saw, and you could be Roy. Take care, guys. Remember, the only ingredient you really need for this is thyme. Hey, try the scallops. Let's. I know you're in the grains, but
I want to get every bit of it.
Let's try one of the scallops there and see how they came out.
Of course, they're very tender. But...
And we put some of the juice from the. What do you think of that?
Mm-hmm. Who needs butter for that? That is awesome.
All right, guys. My plate's there, so I want to eat, so we'll catch up with you later.